Hello, and welcome back to the channel. My name is Kyle McHugh, and here we talk about marathon training, running, shoes, gear, that kind of thing. And today we are talking 200 miles in the ASICS NOVABLAST 3s. I've done about 210 miles in them now, had them for a couple months, and I thought I would put together a little bit of a review on some of the information about the shoes, my experience with them, and whether I think they're worth it for you guys out there. But right before we get into the actual review of the shoes, I will just say, this is my first upload of 2023. I hope everyone's having a great year out there. I have been still putting in about 20-30 mile weeks with 1 to 2 full body lifting sessions throughout the week. I just haven't been uploading and filming and creating content. It's just been kind of more enjoyable for me to do it on my own. Not that I'm ever doing it with other people, but yeah, it's just been one of those things where I've been enjoying it as it is without the camera and trying to kind of find joy in things where I can. You can follow me on Strava if you want to know about kind of every workout I do, but I will apologize for the fact that videos and Instagram posts and all that have been few and far in between. I don't know if that's actually the phrase. But yeah, I'm doing my best. I'm enjoying things. I'm focusing on kind of enjoying things before I create content, just to make sure I'm doing it the right way, or the way that I want to do it. So without further ado, let's get into the review. 200 miles plus of the ASICS NOVABLAST 3s. First and foremost, let's go over some of the specs and the goods of this shoe. We should probably pick it up. We got this bad boy right here. I'm wearing a size 10.5, but men's 9 comes in at 8.9 ounces, so pretty lightweight for a big cushiony daily trainer. This is not a support shoe. It is definitely all about that cushion and that bounce in that FF Blast midsole. 8mm drop, you got a 31 to 23 if my math adds up there, according to the website, according to the ASICS website. Some updates to the shoe: you have this winged tongue. It is semi-gusseted. The winged tongue is supposed to help with a little bit of less movement. I have not had any problem with the tongue moving about while running. It stayed really snug. It doesn't annoy like my ankle with these little wing things popping up and hitting my skin, although I have not worn low socks because it's effing cold here. It is the winter. Yeah, so tongue update. They've got a 75% recycled mesh upper, which definitely has more of a cloth feel than a plasticky kind of feel, which I absolutely love. It does have tons of kind of cushion. I would say a nice cushioning around the ankles and the heel kind of area. Upper still kind of feels almost insulated. I'm not gonna lie, this feels kind of like the perfect winter mesh upper. Yeah, and apparently there's an update in the heel. I'm gonna say it's a tiny bit more narrow than a previous model. This is the first NOVABLAST, first ASICS I've run in a long time. But according to the website, there was an update with the heel to give you a little bit better of a snug fit back there. That being said, in terms of the fit, I would say it's super true to size, not tight anywhere. I have a relatively narrow foot. Heel feels good, does not slide around. Midfoot has a nice lockdown. And then toe box and forefoot, I would say I've got room to kind of move there. So nice wiggle room. And for me, this is exactly how I want a shoe to fit. As soon as I sat down into the shoe, I didn't sit down, I stood up into the shoe. I honestly felt like it was kind of perfect fit at first sight. And absolutely no complaints there. Moving down on the shoe, obviously you've got that FF Blast Plus midsole. This is a huge shout out and win for me in terms of the way ASICS is going with shoes. I think this midsole is absolutely incredible. It has gone 200 miles for me and will go many more. I think it is cushiony, bouncy, and can function on its own without a plate. Whereas every other shoe I've run in, be it Endorphin Speed or a Nike shoe, when you mix a super soft, bouncy midsole foam material, you're often having to combo that with some sort of plate that adds spring, but also adds stability, but also adds a little bit of weight and extra materials. So, well, that's more in my highlight section, but I have to say that this midsole app functions really, really well on its own. Another aspect of like added technology is they've kind of carved out a bit of the midsole slash outsole right here in the forefoot to act as a trampoline style like function or mechanic. And the thought behind that is the cushion and everything throughout the midsole will work really well for you at slower paces. But when you pick up the pace, you don't have a carbon plate in there to give you that spring or bounce, but this kind of divot right here, let's say you're picking up your pace and you start striking a little bit more on that mid to forefoot, you're putting more pressure there. When you think of a trampoline, you kind of bulge down into the middle of the trampoline and it springs you back up. That is, the thought and the functionality behind kind of the trampoline technology in the midsole. Yeah, we'll talk about that more. And then a final thing, you've got this outsole. I'll use some B-roll here too. It's, it gives you kind of coverage around the outside. The surface area is really nice. Obviously with a more cushioned shoe, you want a little bit more surface area. We've seen this with, softer, cushiony shoes. The bigger surface area helps you with what you may not be getting in terms of stability other places in the shoe. But yeah, nothing to write home about really on the outsole. You've got some rubberized on the edges, on some of the impact zones, definitely like in this area where you are trampolining at faster paces. But yeah, I will talk more about that, but overall the build of this thing is pretty great. And it comes in at $140, so it's kind of that daily trainer that you can kind of do a lot of things in. So my experience with this shoe, I bought this about 3 months ago. I just wanted a shoe to kind of plot out some miles throughout the winter. I've ended up doing miles up to 15-mile runs and have hit some speeds of around a 6-minute mile pace. Obviously I'm doing those 15-mile runs quite a bit slower than a 6-minute mile pace, but just wanted to let you know that in the 200 miles plus that I have run in this pair of NOVABLAST 3s, I've done slow, long miles. I've done some quicker mid-pace, 8 to 9 minute mile pace. And then I've also done some kind of 6-minute mile pace, which is very fast for me. I'm sure there's some speedsters out there that may not be as happy with this type of shoe, or it may perform better for you with that trampoline kind of concept in there. But yeah, in 200 miles, I've done slow, I've done fast. They've all felt comfortable. Like I said before, these were a comfy shoe from the moment of getting into them. Shoes that I feel like it fits similar to a Saucony Endorphin Speed, but with slightly more room in, I would say, the forefoot and the toe box. Other than that, it's fairly similar, moving backwards. I would say it also fits similar to a Pegasus, a Nike Pegasus, at least a 38. But again, with a tiny bit more room in that forefoot and toe box, which I love. Again, it's winter, I'm running in thicker socks in general, so maybe this is just kind of that perfect cool to cold temp daily trainer. Obviously that's why I went with the black colorway as well, because I knew they were gonna be just kind of getting muddy, sloshy, and all that stuff. Okay, so my kind of takeaways, highlights, and focus points for 200 miles in the ASICS NOVABLAST 3. First and foremost, these are comfy AF from the moment you step into them. So when you put these on in the store, you're gonna try on a couple sizes. They should feel comfortable, I would say, right away. I put these on, I asked for a 10 and a 10 and a half. I tried on the 10 and a half first. That's what I wear in everything else right now. And boom, it was like, I put them in, didn't even tie them up super tight. And I was like, yep, I can run a ton of miles in these. A big highlight for me has to be that midsole is bouncy and cushiony, and it does not have a plate. I love that they made a shoe that doesn't have to have, it kind of is a shoe that I feel like I can do fast pace and slow paces in. It doesn't have a plate, it's cushiony, it's bouncy. I'm just excited that it's a different direction as opposed to throwing in a plate. You don't need that here. You're using less materials. You're even using less midsole because of that trampoline kind of, their interpretation of adding bounce, extra bounce to your speed work. Yeah, honestly, I think it works. You guys can let me know out there. 140 bucks. I've done 200 miles in this. I will definitely do 300 miles in this. I would say you can do your classic, old school trainer 450 to 500 miles in these. So my final takeaway before I wrap up the video is just the one true negative I would say about the shoe. It's not really a negative, just like food for thought. outsole. I have had some issues with slipping when it comes to, I'm not like issues like injured myself, just like, you don't feel totally comfortable on wet or snowy or sloshy kind of surfaces, which I've been running in more often. It's the middle of winter in upstate New York, it's gonna happen. It hasn't been a big deal for me, but when it comes this time next year, and I'm probably going to be looking at the next version of the NOVABLAST if there is one out at that point in time, and I will probably be going for the trail version. More traction, bigger tread, and I think that's gonna save you really nice during the winter months. But if you're going for like an autumn or spring shoe or summer, obviously, I guess that still exists. I think you'd be totally fine with this. So yeah, that's kind of my one like hope maybe, is that as they continue with this, maybe they change something out on the outsole to add a little bit more tread, just to make it a little bit better of an all year, all season kind of shoe. All right, my friends, that is all I got for you on the ASICS NOVABLAST 3. If you enjoyed the video, please consider liking, commenting, subscribing. If you've run in the shoes, let me know, throw a comment down there. If you agree with anything I've said, if you have additional information, always happy to carry on that conversation in the comments, or you can find me on Instagram, on Strava. I mean, you can't shoot me a message or really communicate on Strava, but I always appreciate it. If you want to connect on there, and we can, see each other's workouts as we go and all that fun stuff. Like I said in the beginning of the video, I have not been uploading as much. This is the first video for me of the year, and it was just kind of one of those ones where I really like the shoe. And so I wanted to make a little bit of a review about it, show you guys my experience with it, and hopefully that helps someone out somewhere out there. Like always, enjoy yourselves, stay safe out there. Happy New Year. Let's have some good runs and some good adventures in 2023. Peace. Is it just the handle to a spoon? Or is it Nessie, the Loch Ness Monster, who's also a loose tea holder?